is the greatest moment in my life.
Blam.
Hello.
All right.
I had a mad panic on there, Magsy, because just to the side of the screen where we are, where I can see you, I've got my sheet up with my format for the show. And I just tried to move it a little bit, and I think I clicked on the wrong thing, and you disappeared. And all I had was like a Word document covering my screen. Literally, as we went live, and I'm like, oh no, what have I done? But it's all right. I've got it back now, I think.
Go back to writing it on pieces of paper.
Oh, I'm more technical now, mate. Look at this.
Literally, folks, 2 minutes ago, he was figuring out how to make himself not look green or blue with his light.
Yeah, these lights are great, mate, but I mean, that's a bit green, isn't it? And that's red. Oh, I've lost what I had now. What did I have?
Leave that one, because it's...
That's right.
It's the Undertaker.
See, the idea of these
Welcome
lights was
to
really
Chain
good.
Wrestling.
It was a really good idea when I got them, but they just get on my nerves now because I never quite know what to do with them. Anyway. Good afternoon, good evening, good morning, wherever and whenever you may be listening or watching from. This is Chain Wrestling Live with Mags and Si. I am the slightly gutted and upset about my beer glass, Si, but we'll come to that shortly, I think. And with me, as always, is the solid steel cage to my feeling my age. The sharpshooter to my overweight boozer. It's funny because it's true. A podcaster who often pays to be caged up with another fella and doesn't see why anyone would want to escape. The podfather himself, Lord Mags. How are we doing, sir?
My safe word is kumquat. I'm doing good, especially knowing that you lost a glass. That really tickled me this week.
Yeah, it's a sad moment, mate. It's a very sad moment. Basically, I mean, we'll get to our non-wrestling topic shortly, but it kind of inspired the non-wrestling topic in a way. I had some else in mind.
Solitary tear going down. I'm going to talk about this on Chain Wrestling.
Yeah, I had some else in mind I was going to message you about, and then I dropped the glass, and I was like, oh, hang on. So finding inspiration from everywhere, mate. Really, but I think I had this pint glass. It was a Guinness Red glass. I don't even think they sell Guinness Red anymore. I've had this glass that long, and I robbed it from the pub that we used to drink at when I first started running the football club with my wife. Yeah. And it was my glass. It's what I drank my beer out of every night, and every night for 12 plus years. And I dropped it and smashed it all into little bits, and now I'm really sad.
I mean, as much as I'm mocking you, I do understand. Like I said to you off stream, when I used to frequent the local working men's club, I used to have one particular glass that I used to drink out of all the time. So I do understand it. It's you do become sentimental. You get used to that one glass. So yeah, I feel
I'm a creature of habit.
It was just funny when you put the picture on Twitter of it all broken up in little pieces, but perfectly swept into a square, ready to have a photo.
Well, there was a panic on, to be honest. There was a panic on because I'll be honest, when it broke, I was actually moving it to get it somewhere safe. It was on the draining board, and the cat jumped up on the draining board and nearly knocked it off. So I thought, shit, I better move that. So I picked the glass up to move it and ended up dropping it myself. So
it was the animals kind of Final Destination style.
Oh yeah, I didn't think of that. Ooh. The animals were running around in the kitchen. The dog's there as well, so I had to get the brush quick and sort of get. I don't want glass in the dog's foot or anything, do you? That's no good. And then I was like, I got to take a picture of it because that's the last time I'm ever going to see it, Max. Very sad.
I'm sure you will quickly break in a new glass.
Well, I'm very lucky that my good friend Ari, I messaged him a picture of the broken glass, and told him what happened because he's been around here and I've used that glass and stuff. He's actually got one in his cupboard. He said I could have. That's exactly the same. But I bet it won't be exactly the same. I bet it won't be, I fear change, Mags, to be honest.
So it's essentially that Simpsons episode where Homer gets a new sofa and he has to make the arse dimples enough, so you'll have to use it over and over again to make it feel like the old one.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to force myself to drink with it most nights just to break it in.
Or as a project, glue the original one back together. Just think of it as a jigsaw.
a big see-through jigsaw. No, I've launched that now, mate. I've launched that. That's gone. It's a sad moment. Well, that glass was it's been in my family longer than one of my children. Just put that into context,
That's depressing.
Very sad, mate. Very sad. How's your week been, mate? Anyway, all right?
Yeah, it's been not too bad. A massive UFC event. Then it was my man and Mrs. Mag's wedding anniversary yesterday. Okay. Yeah, I've had a fun weekend.
How many years has she put up with you for then?
18. Married in 2003. Yeah.
Bloody hell.
That's two murder sentences.
Is it? I thought you get longer. You don't get 9 years for murder.
Yeah, on good behaviour. If she killed me, then behaved in prison, got out, killed me again, she'd be out the second time.
Oh, okay. So that can't really 9 years. No, surely it's longer. Must be. You can't just lob somebody off and
I mean, it depends on the circumstances. I mean, she could probably claim mental torture.
Wow. Yeah. I mean, I spend Monday
get a medal.
I'm
surprised she'd get honourably discharged by the government.
Services of some sort.
A NATO. Yeah. That's where she got her ladyship from.
Yeah, for tolerance
for tolerating me.
So I should probably get a lordship of some sort for doing this on a Monday night, shouldn't I?
At least a dukedom.
A dukedom. Oh, who we got in the chat then, Magsy, mate? Who's here with us this evening?
Well, Mr. Willis has been here since dinner time, it seems. 15 minutes before we even attempted to go live, to the point where he commented, and then you commented nearly 10 minutes later, and it was still before we were meant to start. But yeah, I appreciate Matt coming in and moderating the chat. He says that this week is because we do have some reprobates in our chat, and we'll go through some of them now.
I'm married to one of them.
Mrs. P, for example. And then Charlie's in the chat as well, saying she's watching on the Switch, so she can't comment, but ironically did comment.
She'll comment on her phone and then go back to the Switch because it's got a bigger screen and so on.
Fair play. Dan Griffin, superstar, in the chat. Matt Willis singing along with the theme music. I always have a little boogie to that theme music. It is properly
it's great,
brilliant. Isn't it? Mags Bearer. No, I was not actually the bearer. It's Simon Bearer.
It's light, isn't it? I've got to do something about it, mate. It's green at the moment. I reckon that works.
FIFA Connor in the chat as well. A regular in our streams for Radio Techers. So yeah, glad to see you around. And same with Conor McCabe as well. Matt abusing my safe word. Matt, I get to say that. That's when I'm feeling uncomfortable. Not you, sir. Come up with your own.
Barely gets said ever.
I think that may be the first time I've ever mentioned it. I even forgot my own safe word. Scottish Danny, the official Halloween chain wrestling champion, also in the chat, sir. Yeah, and then they're doing exactly what they do in our chat. They have a conversation between themselves and totally ignore us. Sharon and Dan having a little conversation there. Appreciate the love for mine and Mrs. Mag's anniversary. I mean, she deserves all the love for putting up with me. Dan saying, if Lady Mags killed Lord Mags, the court would say, nah, we get it, you're okay. Yeah, she would have been, that's where she got the ladyship from, because of the services from killing me off. Knowing me apparently is mental torture, to be fair.
Wow,
I mean, what's all abuse? The abuse I'm getting.
That's really harsh, isn't it? I mean, I'm not saying he's wrong, but voicing it in a public forum like that is harsh.
Dan with a great idea here. Sar can be made into an earl, and he can also have an OBE. That way he's an earlobe. Ba-bum.
Excellent stuff.
We'll finish now for this one. You look ill, Sar, with that Latin.
I've just turned it off just to try and change. Is that better? I don't know. We'll go with this for now. Sorry, this will do.
And Anya popping into the chat a little bit later. Anya, a bit disappointed there. Thought you'd be one of the first in. not happy with that, but thank you for turning up.
Oh, yeah. So bonfire night this weekend, Magsy, just gone, wasn't it?
Yeah, not really something I'm particularly bothered about. I enjoy it for the little ones, but yeah, I'm just a grumpy old man now. The loud bangs piss me off.
Hate it. I hate it. I was full of rage, mate, because my cats and my dog were so scared, so scared. I absolutely despise it now. Used to be good again when the kids were little, and I take them to a display with my parents, and
that's when it's cool. When you go into a display and everyone can enjoy it, that's fine. It's when you hear that just constant backyard fireworks or kids throwing fireworks around in the streets and stuff like that I just can't be doing with. Even though ironically I did it as a kid, but do as I say, not as I do.
Yeah. I mean, around our place, around where we are, it's obviously I've said before, it's rough as hell, and the fireworks are going off it's like 3 a.m. on Saturday night, I think it was 3 a.m. I got home from work on the Friday, and there was somebody actually stood in a garden by the local shop, which is about 5-10 minutes from my house, shooting fireworks horizontally down the street at cars.
Yeah, I've seen that when I lived in some of the more kind of scummy areas of Burnley. I mean, I wouldn't say that my area is not scummy, because Burnley in general is scummy, but I mean, one of the more affluent areas now. So we don't tend to see that up here, but in some of the other areas, yeah, we've seen reprobates essentially shooting fireworks down the street and stuff like that. It's not cool. No. Don't do it, kids.
Absolute assholes. Just a pain in the ass. I reckon it should be a case of proper display. I don't want to begrudge people. I mean, if I have my way, I'd just ban fucking things altogether. I'd say no fireworks whatsoever. That's it, done. But I understand some people enjoy them. So proper displays, fine. Don't sell them to the public. Scheduled for one night of the year, all done by 10 o'clock. End of. Yeah. And then if you're caught with your own fireworks,
the problem is it would be hard to police. It'd be really hard to police. I think this should be kind of like limits to the loudness that the fireworks are. I mean, I'm like you. I don't want to begrudge people enjoying themselves. It's not like I'd ban it like I'd ban bubbly chocolate, for instance. But certainly there's no need for fireworks that break the sound barrier. That are just such a loud bang, and I don't get the point. I really don't. You're meant to enjoy it, not need a doctor's appointment for your hearing because of it. Yeah,
it's ridiculous, mate. It's ridiculous. Like I said, my animals are so scared, and it's just not fair. It's just not fair. And it's basically now a situation where we used to go to my sister's New Year's Eve for a meet up and a drink and so on. We can't do that anymore because I'm scared about leaving the dog and the cats and whatever. And it just ruins everything. So yeah, if you're buying fireworks and you're setting them off in your garden, especially horizontally towards cars, you're a pimple dick bastard, and you deserve to choke on a big bag of dicks.
Yeah, we're getting a lot of firework hate in the chat as well.
Cool.
FIFA Connor says he hates fireworks. They hurt his ears. Anya saying that her dog sleeps with him. I mean, that's great that your dog has grown to ignore them. But we've had pets before that. Yeah, being mortified and they're cowering in fear, and it's not nice.
Yeah, Ronnie and even Lemmy surprised me, because Lemmy, normally the cat, like the dozy one, he's normally not bothered, but even he was shaking, and it just absolutely was horrible to see.
Yeah, it is. Scottish Danny saying not as scummy as East London. Interesting that someone from Kent is complaining about how scummy East London is, and then FIFA Connor trying to get in my bad book, saying Burnley's almost as scummy as it gets. Look, it's not Doncaster, is it? It's not that bad. And then he's asking what chocolate I'm banning. Oh, I'm sick of going through this now.
Yeah, you're not going to get back onto that.
I mean, he probably doesn't know, so no offense to Connor, but I detest bubbly chocolate. I think you are being ripped off by paying half of the money for fresh air. It's a conversation we've had many, many times on this show, to the point of that I'm ridiculed because of it.
Are you done?
No, because he agrees with me. Agreed. Fuck Aeros, Whispers. Yeah, they can all go and eat a dick.
For goodness sake. Okay. finished?
Yes, I am.
I'm glad. I'm very glad. Right. Shall we have a look on what we've had sent in via the social medias and interwebs stuff, Max?
Yes, we shall.
Our non-wrestling topic this week was after the sort of, death of my glass, which was one of my prized possessions. I loved that glass. It was, it was the glass I drank out of when I was winning stuff with a football team that we used to run and all sorts. It was real sentimental glass as well, Been with me over a decade, but that was a prized possession. So that kind of linked to us thinking, okay, well, what about other people's prized possessions? What do other people really sort of cherish? Whether it's something really sentimental or a piece of signed memorabilia or just something you've picked up along the way, along the journey of your life, and you've super attached to it for whatever reason.
Mm-hmm.
And we had some really sort of diverse, different responses, Max, didn't we?
We did, yeah. Some really interesting ones, merchandise and then stuff that people have had since essentially they were born. So we had some really cool answers.
Yeah. So we'll run through them again in the usual way, I guess, with the first person to respond. I just go in order that they come into us in, purely because that's the order I screenshot them in. So it makes it.
And I scramble to find the tweet on Twitter.
Are they not in order on Twitter then? I don't understand.
I don't know how Twitter works, its algorithm, but sometimes they'll come in order, sometimes they'll be in order of who last posted. It's weird. Yeah.
Okay. Well, never mind.
That was good job you have to deal with that then, Mags, isn't it?
Yeah. I don't know. I do it, mate.
That sounds like a you problem.
Well, anything technical kind of is, mate, to be fair, Okay, so I'll just be reading off my phone as always with the rather lovely Chain Wrestling pop socket there, going to be soon available in the Chain Wrestling merch for everybody out there.
Yes,
it is. I don't normally have a pop socket because I find them really awkward. But
you got like soundly chastised by Mrs. P for not having one on.
I did. So There we go. And now I can hold my phone and look at it and read off these wonderful tweets from our fantastic listeners, bud. We start with Craig William at Craig Pro Wrestling Musings, PW Musings, sorry, on Twitter.
That was the very first one.
That was it, yeah. That's how it works, Max, when I say I'm going to do it in the order, yeah?
so flippant today, so flippant.
I'm getting my own back from when you were like a real nasty, grumpy bastard last week.
Only because I was hot, cased in rubber, and wearing a top hat. Everyone should have been angry at that.
Well, that was after the show when you went to your special club, wasn't
it? Kumquat.
Craig. Oh, by the way, actually, whilst I think of it, Craig's site, Pro Wrestling Musings. Find him on social media at Craig PW Musings. Check out his work. He analyzes pro wrestling matches with statistics, so the amount of time each wrestler has as the attacker, I suppose, how long wrestlers are spent in submission holds, how many strikes per match, and so on. It's an absolutely fascinating way of looking at wrestling, and it really does also, I think, help understand why we enjoy certain matches. It's absolutely brilliant way of looking at things. So yeah, go and seek Craig out there.
Yeah, I had the distinct pleasure of having him on Warrior Watcher just before he started to kind of really break into the website and do statistics. And I've been lucky to be on a few of his podcasts where we've looked at matches, and I've looked at it from an emotional standpoint, and he's looked at it from a statistical standpoint, and we've kind of like worked out just why these matches stand out to people and why you fall in love with them through the manner of statistics, through how the strikes and the way the action flows, how it appeals to you as a wrestling fandom.
I suppose you can sort of see the numbers and understand the one we looked at when Craig was on SJP quite a while back now. We looked at King of the Ring 93, but mainly the 3 Bret Hart matches, and you could really understand the story they were trying to tell literally by the black and white numbers in front of you. Absolutely fascinating. It's really interesting content. So I strongly advise everyone goes and checks that out. That's well worth a look.
Absolutely.
Craig says he's quite protective over his books. He has lent his partner some books before, and he really doesn't like to do it. He says he doesn't know why. Seems silly. He's already read them.
His partner is in his missus. He's lent her books and feels bad about lending her books. That's
because he's very protective. Yeah,
that seems a bit peevish because it's like she does live in the same house as you. I mean, you can literally watch her reading the books if you like.
Like really intense, just sat there like staring. Each page turn.
But Mrs. P agreed with him. Said no one touches my books, although they're all signed, so even I don't touch them.
Yeah, they sit on the shelf, and to be fair, it looks really smart. It's a really cool display that my wife has, and it's all these authors that she's met, and obviously she's writing herself. And I've been working today actually on the follow-up to her first novel,
which you can get on Amazon.
You can indeed. Not a direct follow-on; it's a different story, but it's the follow-up book for Sharon. All these books that she has, of course, there's like a series of different authors writing different series, and they're all up. And you see the spines all on the shelf together. It does look really smart, to be fair. It does look really cool, and she has got like pretty much all of them signed. So, yeah, if anything goes near that bookshelf, she's not happy. Lemmy had a habit of climbing up on there for a while and knocking stuff off. He was not a popular cat when he was doing that. I'll tell you that. He
may just not have liked the stories in the books.
Yeah, he wanted more comedy or something. He's a bit of a chirpier cat. He doesn't want nothing too dark, nothing too sinister. I want
more
jokes.
Pictures. I want pictures.
That's it. Dan Griffin, good friend of the show, at Dan Griffin 21 on Twitter. He says here, and this is fantastic. I'd love this. He had an old dog-eared, tattered WWF 1993 sticker album for years. Finally threw it out around 10 to 12 years ago and has regretted it ever since.
You monster. You absolute monster for doing that, Dan. You've gone down in my estimation. Yeah, that's horrific.
And 93 as well. You're looking at Lex Luger, Bret Hart, Mr. Perfect, the Head Shrinkers. Oh, why? Oh, man, that would have been amazing. I wonder if you could still seek those out, like on eBay or something.
He may find that exact one. Someone's like,
someone's
out of his bin.
Dan continues. His parents went to Tokyo for the Rugby World Cup in 2019, found Minoru Suzuki's shop and bought him back a pile driver hat and Suzuki Gun t-shirt. That's fantastic. I'm a big Suzuki fan. Yeah,
that is very, very cool.
Yeah, really cool. Sentimental memorabilia, Dan continues. He has multiple commemorative plastic glasses from cricket games he's been to. Is that a thing, is it? Do you just get given a glass at a cricket game, like a beaker or something?
No, you buy them.
Oh, okay. Okay. Well, I don't know. I've never been to... actually, I'll tell you. I was about to say I've never been to the cricket. I have once, a long, long time ago. And it was somewhere in Cheltenham, a big cricket festival. And we basically had one ticket and we let someone will go in, walk around the back, push it through the fence, and then somebody else will use the same ticket to walk in.
Brilliant.
We've got like 4 of us in with that one ticket stub. And I don't like cricket at all, but I thought it might be a nice day out. The sun was shining. I was there, I don't know, 12 hours maybe. Didn't see a single ball thrown. Literally just stayed in the beer tent the whole time. I might as well have just gone to the local pub, to be fair.
I have to say I enjoy going to the cricket. I think it's a good day out. Like you said, you can go and get pissed up in the sun watching cricket. Yeah, not wrong with that. It's a great day.
Yeah, it's not my cup of tea, man. Cricket. It's a bit.
Yeah, but there's so many different kind of styles of cricket now.
What's that new one? The most recent one they did. The 100. Yeah, that was good. I like that.
Yeah, so if you're not into like the long form, like 5-day test cricket, or even the 1-day cricket, you can go and watch 2020. You can go and watch 100. So it's like a quicker kind of shorter fills of cricket, and a lot more exciting. You see a lot more kind of boundaries and big hits, and a lot less defensive cricket.
Yeah, so that's the issue for me. I think the defensive cricket, and when you're talking about like 5-day cricket matches and it's a draw at the end of it, it's just like you've wasted best part of a week there, mate. You may as well have gone to the beach, haven't you? Do you know what I mean? You know, you want to sit in the sun, you can just go to a beer garden or something.
I mean, yeah, I suppose, but then you might miss out on someone making a century for England.
Yeah, I'm not bothered though.
Oh wow, wow!
Now, don't get me wrong. I want England to win in every sport they play. Of course I do. But if they don't win at cricket, I'm not that arsed because it's not something I'm into.
Okay, that's fair. We'll move on.
Okay, let's move on. Dan also says he has an arcade token and a mocked-up WWF magazine cover of his brother and him as Too Cool that we got from WWF New York in 2000. We must see this cover.
And also, we want to know which of Too Cool Dan was. Was he?
Yes.
Was he Dan Too Hotter, or was he Grandmaster Dancer?
Dancing. Grandmaster Dancer.
Yeah, we need to know these things, Dan. You can't come with half a tail.
Needs to give us the answer to that first of all in the chat, and then we need a picture of that tweeted to the show. Or
it didn't happen.
Or you're a liar. You're a filthy liar.
You're a fucking liar.
Whoa, all right. He says Dan also continues his favorite item though is a mini replica terracotta warrior that he bought when he was lucky enough to visit the actual terracotta warriors in, I'm going to say,
Jiang.
Jian. Is that how you say it? Is it?
Yeah.
It looks like it. It looks like it's just made up. To be fair, doesn't it?
I think he leant on the keyboard.
That's not a real place. Nobody spells stuff like that. Come off it.
He's confirmed in the chat that he was actually Dan Master Sexy.
Ah, nice. We want to see it though, Dan. We need to see that picture, mate.
Especially, I want to see him with the goggles as well.
Yeah.
And doing the dance with the digging the spade. Got to do all that.
It's a magazine cover, Max. It's not a fucking video. It's but you could make a video, Dan.
You could, sir. You could.
Oh. He says he went to this made-up place on a work trip to China in 2016. It was a bucket list. What?
He went to this made-up place
in China. Yeah, China's real. I know China's real. You know, China's real. Yeah. It was a bucket list experience, and he's happy to have a reminder of it. Now, we spoke about these terracotta warriors before, didn't we?
Yeah.
It's like haven't they been in like hundreds of years and so on?
Thousands.
Thousands.
Yeah.
And they're like morph, aren't they? Because they're that color.
The terracotta, yeah. The color of terracotta.
The color of morph.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What
was the little white fella that was in morph? What was his name?
Well, was he not? First of all, I think he was grey.
Was he grey? Was he? I thought he was like. Okay.
I know what you mean, but I can't remember what his name was.
Yeah. And he was always a bit of a pain in the ass, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was like the dickhead of the morph group.
Yeah. The dickhead of the morph group. What a title. But there weren't, well, you say the group, there weren't that many of them, was there? There was just like morph. There was that dickhead.
The Tony Hart. That was was that not the guy?
The old dude, yeah. That was about it, wasn't it?
Yeah, I don't know the other guy, the white, the grey one, Chaz. Chaz. Yeah.
Oh, of course he was called Chaz. That's a real dickhead name, isn't it? Chaz.
That's Chad, but I get the sentiment.
Yeah, of course he is called that. Yeah, and I bet he comes from that made-up place in China as well. Yeah. We hate you, Chaz.
He's the leader of the Terracotta Warriors.
Even though he's the one that's not actually terracotta. A morph is. I feel once again, Magsy, we've got a little bit sidetracked here.
Whatever makes you think that. I don't believe we have. That was a perfectly flowing conversation about Tony Hart. And I'm surprised we didn't even get onto Neil Buchanan and Heart Attack. We may as well.
I used to like that. He's a guitarist now, and he plays guitar for the rock band Marseille.
Oh, does he? Yeah. Every year without fail, there's always tweets about him being dead.
I don't think he's dead. Well,
no, every year he comes out to deny the fact that he's dead.
Right. Okay.
It's like a yearly tradition now.
Brilliant. Arstat was great, wasn't it? When he used to make those massive things like in a field or like or do a picture with like salt
and it just pour it everywhere, and it end up being an amazing picture.
Yeah.
Really talented.
Yeah,
R.I.P.
so
to
good.
Neil Buchanan.
Oh, Magsy, this isn't gonna be very good for the people listening right this second, but it has to be done. I've been sent the Too Cool cover, and I'm gonna forward it onto you now because I can't bring it up on the screen because I'm not technically minded enough. So bear with me just 1 second, everyone watching and I'll say and listening, but I can edit this shit out, can I, when we get to the podcast version? So I'm not gonna do those. Bear with me just a sec, and I will send it to you in a message, mate. There we go. It is a thing of beauty. Thanks for that, Dan. That is amazing.
Have you sent it via Twitter?
DM, yeah.
Let's have a look. There we go.
That is glorious.
Let's just full screen him.
Look at that. Which one is he?
He's Scotty Too Hotty, this bad boy here.
No, he's the. You said he was.
Oh,
Dan
no,
Master,
yeah. Dan Master Sexy, yeah, this one here. Wow. He hasn't changed one little bit. He literally looks like that right now.
What, as in like wearing those clothes as well?
Yeah, and the gloves. I like the fingerless gloves best of all.
The step toes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's glorious, Dan. Glorious.
That is fantastic. Thanks, Dan. That's really cool. Thanks, mate. Really appreciate you sending that in. That's great. And if you're listening to the podcast version later in the week, this is what you're missing out on by not joining us live on a Monday night, isn't it? So
yeah, and maybe we'll share it on the old Twitters.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. I'm probably gonna have forgotten this has even happened in 5 minutes. Just not gonna... we have a tweet from the Good Cop Bad Cop Wrestling podcast at Good Bad Wrestle on Twitter. Good friends of the show.
Yes.
They say, as they will be going up next month, and any earlier than that is a bad cop moment. The Christmas bauble he rescued from a Nick Gage Xmas themed death match at Wrestlemania weekend 2019 is the only item he adds to the tree each year now. I reckon that is so cool.
It's I mean, I'm surprised there was one left because he normally likes to smash everything in the whole arena. But yeah, that is amazing. It'd be even cool if you got him to sign it. Can you imagine a signed Christmas themed death match bauble? That would be awesome. But yeah, that's cool, Graham. That's really really cool.
That is so smart. You have to send us I was gonna say send us a picture, but I suppose it just look like a bauble, wouldn't it?
I mean, it could be any bauble. We would, you know, unless it's got his like blood dripping off it.
Downstairs, I've got about 15 hardcore match baubles. I'll send you a picture of them, Max.
and I'm selling them on eBay at £100 each.
I'll even initial them. I mean, Nick Gage will even initial them. That's got another £5 on or something, hasn't it? Surely.
Why does this MDK look like Sar Powell? What's going on here? He's crossed out Sar Powell and put MDK.
This is SI crisscross, like the other half of the Good Cop Bad Cop Wrestling podcast, the magnificent Matt Willis, sent me a message on WhatsApp because he says that there's not enough characters on Twitter to send in his prize possessions mini list, I guess.
Okay, so we have to be a diatribe. I take it then.
No, it's not. He says his favorite item when he was a kid has to be the teddy bear he was given when he was born. He loved Ted.
Oh, that's cool.
Love him so much. He's still beside my bed 37 years and 6 house moves later. That's sound. I like that.
Yeah, and it's not the last time that kind of thing will be brought up because there's a couple more of those.
No, definitely. Favorite item nowadays has to be his engagement watch he got from Chris. An awesome change from the stereotypical ring, but they are going to be having rings for the wedding like normal. But yeah,
and they're also having a sausage gravy chocolate fountain.
A what?
A sausage gravy chocolate fountain. So
it's not chocolate, it's gravy.
No, it's chocolate and gravy. Sausage gravy flavored chocolate in a fountain.
Hang on, my mind doesn't. I can't understand. It's a it's a chocolate fountain, right? But with gravy.
Yeah. I mean,
So-
did none of the words English?
So it's a
Do you
gravy
understand
fountain.
what sausage is?
Yes, I know what bloody sausages are.
Do you understand what gravy is?
Yes,
Have you heard of chocolate?
I'm aware of it. Yes.
Do you know what a fountain is?
Yeah, I know what a chocolate fountain is.
So
I've
all
never
the
heard
words
of it.
make sense.
Yeah, but I've never heard of a gravy
No
fountain
more
before.
context is needed.
So it's
No,
literally
so it stemmed from an episode of Techers that we end up talking about food. As you know, on Techers, we don't tend to stick to the game for too long before we get distracted. And we were talking about the food that Matt was having at his wedding, and it came up about having a chocolate fountain. And I don't know how we got onto it, but we're also talking about American gravy, which is essentially not gravy at all. And they have it with sausages in it, and it's all white, and it looks disgusting.
white
So-
gravy.
Yeah, what they call gravy is not the same thing that what we call gravy.
Like bread sauce, that's white, isn't it?
Yeah, essentially like that, but they have it with like lumps of sausage meat in it and stuff like that. So we were talking about how Matt should have a chocolate fountain because it's tacky and it's very niche and 80s, but then put sausage gravy in the chocolate. And we just went on a mad,
Okay.
kind of like chain wrestling, like a tangent, and we ended up mocking him for weeks and weeks about having this sausage gravy chocolate fountain at his wedding. So
I reckon that sounds great. I like a bit of gravy.
so when I go to his wedding, if that fountain is not there, I'll be disappointed. I will really be. In fact, I'll be angry.
Yeah.
And
When you're turning out with your mug, ready for your mug of gravy.
Well, I'm just going with a portion of chips because one of the foods he's having is like he's having mini fish and chips, like in a cone. So I
Right.
wanted like a fountain to essentially dip the chips in and nom. But apparently we're not having it now, so I'm unavailable for your wedding now, Matt. That's a deal breaker for me. So fountain or mags, take your pick.
I wonder if you could make like a cheese fountain with like melted cheese.
Yeah, I mean, you could.
That'd be awesome.
It would. I mean, you do get them, don't you? Like fondue sets, essentially.
Yeah, but they're like just a pot, aren't they? They're not a fountain. I want a fountain.
Then melt it and pour it, and melt it and pour it, and have a little pump system going through. Yeah, easy to do.
Yeah. I'm glad we cleared that up. Oh, Matt continues. His most sentimental item has to be the Mick Foley Countdown to Lockdown book, signed by Mason, Graham, and Jackson from the MGB Wrestling Podcast. And
One of a kind.
yeah. Memorabilia. He says he has Thor's hammer, the Green Rangers. What does that say? Dragon Dagger, and a WWE title belt. So he is sorted. Yeah. I didn't realize how big a Power Rangers fan Matt actually was.
He's a nerd for Power Rangers.
Yeah,
Yes, very
okay.
much so a nerd.
I never got it myself. Like,
No,
I'm a big nerd for various other things. Trust me, but it's I never got the Power Rangers thing myself.
no, and I think he should grow up. Maybe it's very childish, isn't it?
You're so mean to Matt all the time.
He loves it, and he's mean back. So it's definitely a two-way street. And I've been mean to him later on when we're doing the volley.
Yeah.
So all's fair.
Yeah. Okie doke. Danny at Scottish Juggalo on Twitter, the Halloween champion this year. He says he's got to go with this VHS. I got the picture there. Brilliant, Maxie. He says he's got to go with this VHS that has Texas Chainsaw Massacre from 1974 taped on it. He's had it since 1996 when he was just 5 years old. Bloody hell, he was 5 in 96. That makes me feel about 100 years old, Max.
I know. It's shocking. A couple of people have been putting up posts today on Twitter about who was the champion when you were born and what is your first wrestling memory and things like that. And looking at them, I'm thinking, look at all these people. Oh, AJ Styles was the champion when I was born, and I'm like, shit. How old am I? Should I be in this wrestling bubble now? Because like Pat Patterson was the first Intercontinental champion when I was born. and he was actually the champion. And
Yeah.
it's scary. And there was one about what was the Starcade headliner when you were 6 years old, and for me it was Ric Flair versus Nikita Koloff.
Oh, why?
That's depressing. Very, very depressing. But it also had the Night of the Skywalkers match on, so swings and roundabouts.
Yeah, if you watch that back, it's not good though, is it? Those Skywalkers matches now, they're not. Bear in mind how big an NWA fan I am,
especially when the wrestlers were terrified of doing it and they would not let go of the fence, a fence that was rickety in the first place, and if you leaned on it, it essentially fell off. We've covered that match anyway, so definitely go and check that out.
Yeah, I think Bob Backlund was the champion when I was born. Early '81, that'd have been about right, wouldn't it?
Who was the Intercontinental champion? Again, going off on a tangent.
Early '81, I would guess Pedro Morales held the title around then. I'll have to look it up.
Was he the second champion?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah,
I'll have to look it up.
Yeah, for me, Patterson lost it, I think, in April of 1980, which, so yeah, I think it was Pedro Morales after that.
Well, I was born February '81, so
yeah,
I was right.
February '80, so I'm old as fuck.
Yeah.
Make yourself feel older. I was born in 2001. You disgust me, you millennial. Oh no, are they called millennial or boomers? Boomers, I think they're called.
I don't know, millennial is. I'm not sure. Either way, nice to have you here. Even though my co-host says that you disgust him, it's nice for you to come along. Sorry. Anyway, Danny, he said he had this tape from 1996 when he was just 5 years old. It got him hooked on horror for life, and his gran regrets letting him see it at that age. I can imagine so. Seeing Texas Chainsaw Massacre at 5 years of age, I imagine that is going to be an error. It's. I wouldn't like my kids to watch that at that age.
Yeah, that sounds like some very bad parenting by your nan. But it is a classic though, so I mean, swings and roundabouts. But watching the film back now, I don't think it holds up that particularly well.
No,
but no. Watching it at 5 years old, I bet I would have absolutely crapped my pants.
Yeah.
A bloke with a mask swirling a chainsaw around.
Yeah, it's some of those old horrors. Like you look at say the original Halloween. I think that still holds up. That's great.
Yeah, I suppose. The new one's come out, hasn't it? Halloween Kills.
I've not seen it yet because I've not seen the other new one, but I'm really interested.
The other new one that's about a decade old now. That one.
That's not a decade old, is it? It came out like a year or two ago.
Did it?
Yeah, they had one that came out a year or two ago. Then there's this one, and then there's another one coming out Halloween next year.
So the newer one with Jamie Lee Curtis.
Yeah,
you're on about that one.
Yeah,
not the Rob Zombie ones.
No, I don't want to watch that shit. No, not the Rob Zombie ones. Not about that. Okay. No, but yeah, these new ones. There's I think it's like a 3-part film thing. So.
Oh no, I did not know that.
Yeah, so we got quite a bit going on in the chat there, Mags. What we got here?
Yes, it goes all the way back. So let me just keep her scrolling. Connor saying Burnley's as scummy as it gets. Well, I think we may have already covered that. Dan saying, Mags, you like the Whisper Caramel Hazelnut. I tolerated the bubbly chocolate for the hazelnut caramel. It was delicious, but not the chocolate. Sa gives 0 shits for Mags' struggles. As I fully expect. Andy from Bang Bang is here from his bath, I assume. Oh yeah,
bath night tonight.
Dad asked him, bath now. Oh, it's time for my weekly bath. I can just imagine Andy in a tin bath in front of the fire. It's Mrs. Andy pouring a hot kettle over water to keep it topped up.
Whilst holding his phone so he could watch us.
Apparently now Connor and Dan are having beef because Dan is now dead to him. I assume for throwing away the sticker album.
Okay.
Andy from Bang Bang said he used to go to Cheltenham Cricket Festival every year, and he was sick on the boundary rope last time he went.
Amazing. I might have been there, mate.
That was probably yesterday.
Yeah.
Dan Griffin saying he can't be a Grandmaster Sexy anymore. He's more like Rikishi. Absolutely nothing wrong with Rikishi. On a change in attitude, we're actually going through the era where the Sultan was on. So
Why?
Yeah,
with them curly-toed boots.
It's that rough. Yeah,
it's not good, is it?
No, we've literally just this week watched the Pillman's Got a Gun episode.
Why?
Yeah, it doesn't translate very well nowadays.
Doesn't hold up.
It's aged. The wrestling on it is horrific. All of the matches are very, very terrible. Dan said he thought he'd lost that the picture of his brother. Found it clearing out the shed. It's an absolutely cool picture. Honestly, it's fantastic. It is. Then we've got, apparently I'm a massive nerd. I embrace my nerddom. Nothing wrong with being a nerd. So Scottish Danny and Matt talking about Power Rangers. Danny said he liked Power Rangers when it was called Wild Force, and Danny made a schoolboy error because he put a date, and you don't get statistical with Matt Willis when it comes to Power Rangers, because he corrects Danny quite quickly, saying Wild Force was 2002. You absolute child, Matt. You absolute child.
No, I can understand that. You want to get it right, don't you?
Yeah, I suppose. Dan Griffin in the chat. Just remembered he has the number one signed copy of Gene Smallman's History of Wrestling book. Shame he's a prick and Progress was a fucking scamming cult. Oof, yeah.
Okay.
It wasn't a good ending to Progress. Scottish Daddy trying to clear the air with Matt, saying, cheers, it was badass. I love the blend with the animals. Gave it a new flavor. What incarnation of the Power Rangers is your favorite? I guarantee. He said, thought he was going to say the original, but he says Power Rangers in space.
I don't know what any of these mean.
No, me neither. I always thought it was like go Power Rangers, and that they have a ring and they all turn into the Power Rangers and they fight those like rubber claymation monsters.
Pink Ranger was cool.
Well, and yellow. Yellow was a girl one as well, wasn't it? I think. Anya depressing everybody in the chat by saying I was born in 2004. I'm 18 in 4 months.
Yeah, this is it. My son is 18 already as well. So, yeah, my youngest is 11. That makes me feel 1,000,000 years old.
Jesus. Dan Griffin, when I was born, Randy Savage. Well, I don't know why I said Ricky Savage. He was
Ricky
WWE
Savage,
champion.
that well-known champion, Ricky Savage. Yeah.
Ricky Steamboat was NWA champion. Ultimate Warrior was RC champion, and Lex Luger was the NWA United States champion. Jesus Christ, that's rough.
That'd be 1989 then.
Those workhorse champions of the Intercontinental of the United States are terrible, terrible wrestlers.
We will have no Lex Luger slander on this show. Thank you, Mr. Max.
I mean, on that Nantes Wrestling podcast, we've just covered the Lex Express, where we will have no slander. We've covered the Lex Express.
I'm talking proper Luger. When you go back to like 86, 87 Luger, that's good Luger.
Is it?
Yes, it is.
I mean, there's a lot of rumblings backstage in chats about your terrible wrestling takes and how you pick awful matches from like yesteryear which don't stand up. So I don't know if your judgment can be accepted as fact nowadays, sir.
Maybe I'm remembering it with like rose tinted glasses potentially, but Luger when he split from the Horseman,
tinted jam jar glasses, I think.
Yeah, when he split from the Horseman, that was cool. That was great.
And then the bell rang.
Anyway,
FIFA Connor says his opinion on the Power Rangers is he likes the red one, and that's the amount of his knowledge on it. And Dan Griffin, Lex Luger was fucking wank.
Oh, for crying out loud.
Correct. Lex Luger was as good at wrestling as Hornswoggle was. Whoa, whoa, whoa. I will not have any slander about the tadpole splash. That guy was Vince McMahon's son. He was, I'm sure he was like the cruiserweight champion or the hardcore champion, something like that. The guy's a legend. He's about 2 foot tall as well. Everyone
hating on Lex Luger. I'm starting to see why when I pick Lex Luger matches, nobody votes for him now. I genuinely sat there one day thinking, that Luger match I picked is bloody great. Why has nobody voted for it? Magsy won by like 78%.
Almost the best way to guarantee our win is to get you to pick a Lex Luger match.
Yeah.
Because nobody likes
him on this show one day. It will happen.
The best thing Lex Luger ever did was struggle to rip a t-shirt up.
Yes, there is that. The narcissist was kind of a cool gimmick.
No, that's wrong. No, it was awful.
Okay,
it was terrible.
But again, this is where it all went wrong when he joined the bodybuilding federation and he did the old Lex Express thing.
and he tried to down a pint of milk and struggled.
Yeah, what a loser. I could beat Lex Luger in a milk drinking contest. Oh, anyway, back to Twitter then. At UTT Rob, our good friend Rob from the UTT podcast. He says he doesn't know about Favourite, but he guesses it's memorabilia. His dad said to him that the other day, do you remember when we went to get a signed copy of Monica Lewinsky's autobiography at Waterstones in Leeds? It wasn't Monica Lewinsky, it was Leonard Nimoy.
Which baffled me, so I had to question how his dad mistaken the two, because they don't really run in the same circles. I don't remember seeing Monica Lewinsky on the bridge of the Starship Enterprise, and I certainly don't remember seeing.
You wouldn't have seen her because she'd have been like below waist, wouldn't she?
And similarly, I don't remember seeing Leonard Nimoy have spunk on his shirt. So,
oh my god!
So I asked, and he had no idea. He said he was convinced it was Monica Lewinsky. I mean, who would want, firstly, a book about Monica Lewinsky, and then who would want to get said book autographed by Monica Lewinsky? And was it autographed in pen or was it autographed in bodily fluids? I ask the hard questions. Sorry.
Yeah, well, yeah. I'm not.
And so does Bill Clinton. I did not have relations with that Vulcan.
That Vulcan. Oh, mind those ears.
Is that some Spock ears in your pocket, or are you just pleased to see me? Hey, Monica, could you just wear these ears?
So Bill Clinton's got a Star Trek fetish now. Is that what we're saying?
Perhaps he does.
He sees war for the next generation with that big bony forehead and gets all excited. Oh, look at that. Klingons war.
I will live long and prosper.
Oh man, we're so getting sued one day. There's no way we can get away with this every week. It's impossible. I'm amazed we got this far.
We will ride this train until it comes off the tracks.
Yeah, there we go. At Pigs Bladders on Twitter says he entered a competition in Kerrang magazine back in the day, won a Cradle of Filth t-shirt. Even before I saw the picture, I knew exactly what Cradle of Filth t-shirt he was going to be referring to because it's quite a famous one.
Yeah.
He says he loved that t-shirt way too much, wore it everywhere he went. He had no problem with it. The same couldn't be said for a lot of the people who actually saw him wearing it. And it's the famous Cradle of Filth t-shirt. If people on the audio version, the podcast version later in the week, want to just Google it, you'll know which one it is. It simply says Jesus is a C word. Yeah, there we go.
I mean, that it's cool winning that t-shirt. But if he'd have entered last week, he could have won a more rare t-shirt. But unfortunately for him, our good friend from Kent, Scottish Daddy, won.
Yeah, yes, this is true. And on the back it says Mags is a. It doesn't. It doesn't.
but it definitely should.
Andy at Bang Bang Podcast on Twitter. Brilliant show every single week. Bang Bang Podcast. Everyone should go and check it out if you haven't already. I mean, if you haven't already, then you know what you're playing at. Really, what you're playing at. He sent me this via a DM, Mags. Sorry, I should have said. Save you having to look for it there, buddy.
Cheers for that.
Yeah. He says here his prized possessions: a signed Steve Beaton picture from when he won the BDO darts in 1996. His mate said when he got it signed, it was especially for Andy. It was only a few years later that he looked at the pic and it was signed to Mary, all the best, Steve Beaton.
Brilliant.
Turned out his mate, who was a builder, had just found it in a skip.
Amazing. But how disrespectful from Mary, though, throwing it in a skip.
Yeah,
that was very mean of her. I know, Mary, you're well out of order.
Hang on. That's Mary might have passed away or something. And well, just get rid of her possession.
Then she should have been buried with it.
Yeah, fair enough.
Shame on you, Mary.
Come on, Mary, crying out loud. Steve Beaton, all the best. It's not just, Steve Beaton he's written on there. All the best. He's wishing you his best.
Yeah. And, Mary.
You ungrateful bitch, Mary.
And Andy in the chat, love Steve Beaton, fuck Mary.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe it was dyslexic.
That's a t-shirt.
He tried to spell, and then it come out as Mary.
Yeah, I mean, that's not just dyslexic, is it? That's proper something wrong there if you're going for Andy and getting Mary. Do you know what I mean? That's only that's not even close. And this is brilliant. Andy continues, he won a signed Shakin' Stevens scarf at primary school in the 80s. I'm all about that. I bloody love Shakin' Stevens. I would be so happy to have a signed Shakin' Stevens scarf. I can't get the words out.
You're that excited.
I am. Do you know why I'm excited, Max? Because that gives me a reason to play Shakin' Stevens on the podcast version this week.
Which song? Green Door?
Oh, I don't know. Green Door. This
Merry
old
Christmas,
house.
Everyone.
Oh, no. This Old House is a good one as well.
What Andy didn't tell you, though, was that was actually signed to Mary as well, and she threw that away.
Oh, man. I'd trap Mary down and stamp on her neck.
Well, Dan Griffin said in the chat, Mary had to throw the picture of Steve Beaton away because the raw sexual energy of just his picture was enough to get her pregnant.
Just continuously pregnant because of the picture in her front room. Pops out a kid. Oh, does have a test. Oh, bloody Beaton again. That bronzer dart throwing Adonis just keeps knocking me up and gazing at me from the mantelpiece. Oh my word.
Jesus Christ.
Millwall Chris at Millwall Chris 1 on Twitter. He says he's still got his match ticket from the 2004 FA Cup semi-final and also the final.
That's cool.
He wishes he hadn't got rid of all his wrestling mags that he started collecting in 1989 though. Yeah, man. Can you imagine some of those articles to read now? That'd be brilliant, wouldn't they?
Mm-hmm. Especially the Vince Russo ones. Now you know that he was what was it? Vinny Vegas, his character. It'd be cool to kind of revisit them.
Do you remember Power Slam magazine? And that's brilliant. Do you remember Power Slam magazine and the Superstars of Wrestling mag that was like the one that was before it?
I remember Power Slam. I don't particularly remember the Superstars of Wrestling one.
Yeah, well, Superstars of Wrestling turned into Power Slam. It was Finn Martin, all the same people. I had virtually every single one. My mum used to go to WH Smith's on her way home from work, pick me up the new magazine every month. Massive, honestly, a stack of it. It was huge. And then one day when we were having to clear out, I just chucked them out in the back garden, thinking I'll chuck them in the bin, and they got rained on and wrecked. And Sharon, my wife, when I did it, said, "You're going to really regret doing that." And I was like, "I haven't read them in years. Just want to get rid of them." And she's right. Every day now, I think, "Oh man, I wish I still had those magazines."
Just stood at the window every rainy day. Brings back terrible, terrible memories for you.
Yeah, I have pictures of Kevin Nash as Oz and the Diamond Stud moulding into each other with the rain. Sting's makeup smudging away, looking like he's crying, but it's
when really it's you crying.
Yeah, it is. We had a A couple of late ones come in, Magsy, to the Twitter feed.
We did.
Both from my two middle daughters. First of all, from Anya, my eldest girl.
Oh, I knew you picked that one because I didn't have that post up. Cheers for that.
Sorry, dude.
It's fine.
Anya sent in a picture saying her number one possession, meet Betsy, a teddy bear who she had since she was newborn and still has and sleeps with to this day, almost 18 years later. Betsy the bear, honestly, that thing went everywhere. Absolutely everywhere.
And look at how good condition it's in.
Yeah. There was one occasion where Anya, as a very little girl, left Betsy on the back of the bus.
Kind of like somebody did with their phone recently.
Yes, all right. I had to go and basically run through town to get, because the bus circled around where else the city set. So I had to basically go on a full-on sprint through town to get to a further bus stop down the route and cut off the bus to get on and go get this bear because she was in hysterics. It was not fun, and I was upset as well because I'm thinking that's my little girl's teddy. I don't want to lose it. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Oh, that's lovely. That's a great story and a lovely bear as well.
I nearly passed out though, mate. I was so unfit. And my
give me a minute. I've left my bear, and also can I go all the way around?
Yeah,
I'm
can I
not
stay
running
on?
back. Yeah,
I'll go back home via Cheltenham. I don't care. I'll just sit here. And my genuine middle daughter, the middle of the three, Liv. Her Twitter account there, Magsy, by the way, it's Liv Powell 8, right? Because she keeps forgetting her logins. So if you search her name on Twitter, there's a Liv Powell 6, a Liv Powell 7, a Liv Powell 8, where she keeps forgetting her logins. Having to reopen a new one. And Liv, for as long as, well, since probably last week's Chain Wrestling, had one follower, and that was you.
Oh, and she only entered to enter the Halloween competition.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So I started following her now, but
like the heartless douchebag I am, didn't pick her to win.
What a bastard.
And that's why you put it on me to do.
Well, maybe. We have a picture there of a bear simply called Ted, and that's the same as Betsy for Anya. Ted was
left on the bus.
Yeah, left on the bus. Yeah, I had to go running. No. Ted went everywhere.
It's a family tradition.
And Ted was. It's a white bear, but the amount of times you'd have to wash him because his color would very much change, as you can imagine, with the food that Liv would eat when she was little and all sorts, and going out and playing. Ted would come with us and all that. So yeah, very similar to Betsy. Ted was with Liv from, pretty much day dot, really. So yeah, there we go. That's Liv's prized possession as well.
That's really, really cool. And it's cool that it's like a family tradition now with your two middle daughters having the same bear from being born.
Yeah, there you go. It's Lash, mate. What about yourself, Mags? What about you?
Well, just before we get to that, we've got Dan in the chat. He's got a little bit of a morbid one. He said, but my nan died last October. My mum kept a lot of her jewellery. My 3-year-old niece likes to look at the jewellery and hear stories of her great nan as she just remembers her. That is awesome. That really, really is awesome. Yeah. Not your nan dying, obviously. The fact that you keep it, that's horrific. The fact that you're keeping her memory alive with the amazing stories. So yeah, that's cool. Sharon in the chat saying that she loves Ted and confirming that Ted has never been left around. And Betsy must feel a bit disappointed then because she did get left. That's mean. And also, why hasn't Charlie posted a picture of Charlie Bear? It's because it's on the Switch. So
yeah, she's on the Switch. Yeah, that's a good shot. Yeah, very true. Speaking of pictures, Magsy, I just sent you another one that we had sent to the Chain Wrestling Twitter account, if you have it there.
Firstly, Anya has sent me a picture of Betsy essentially replacing Anya with her pupper. Which is really cute. And
before you bring that up, though, I want all the ladies in the chat to look away because obviously the gloriousness of Steve Beaton, he will get you pregnant just by gazing upon you from that image.
Wow, you sexy animal! Why does Andy look so uncomfortable? I think
because he's pregnant now.
Pregnant, yeah. He's like, what's this weird kicking in my stomach? I'm up the duff.
I have a funny tingly feeling in my trousers.
Take me, Steve, take me. And then Steve's like, come quat.
So basically, Steve Beaton has exactly the same safe word as you.
Yeah, I mean.
So you're obviously attending the same parties then.
I cannot confirm or deny that I have put my keys in a bowl and Steve has pulled them out.
He doesn't pull out keys. He just sits back and everyone comes to him.
Yeah, people just throw keys at him. Like, pick mine.
There's just a long queue and Beaton on a leather couch just sat there rubbing his nipple. Andy
in the chat saying that his darts were poking me in the side.
That were in his darts.
Yeah, definitely. I didn't realise his darts were sticky on the end.
Oh, bullseye.
Both Dan and Sharon having ovary issues. Jesus Christ.
Steve Beaton you.
Millwall Chris, I have just tuned in and there's a picture of Andy and Steve Beaton. You are now pregnant, Chris. I'm not gonna. You're gonna have to go and listen back when the audio version is released. But just know that you are now pregnant. Prepare for a mini Millwall Chris coming.
In about 9 months' time, we're just gonna have a whole army of beaten babies, aren't we? all with tiny little mustaches and tans, just bronzed up little babies. You know?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Wow. So. Steve Beaton, you animal.
Yeah.
Can you imagine his child support?
It must be through the roof, man. What about you then, Magsy? What about you, mate? What's your prized possessions that you've past or present?
Okay, so I'm not wanting to go down too dark of a road, but as a kid, I was in and out of social care a lot. So you kind of get used to not being sentimental about some stuff because you don't know where you're going to be from week to week. So it's only really as an adult I've started being particularly bothered about collecting certain stuff. But there is a few. I mean, right behind me, these bad boys here, I absolutely adore these. Really cool. But the one thing that I will never ever part with, and I will take this to my grave, is we had a pet dog called Neo who unfortunately passed away last year. He unfortunately got doggy cancer. But he was a massive character, like really kind of a happy-go-lucky, but also just a crazy dog, just like nuts. Not angry or aggressive, just batshit crazy. Like the first time I ever laid eyes on him, he came running into the room, and we had laminate flooring, and it's the classic kind of a meme of a dog trying to run on flooring and his feet are going, but he couldn't go anywhere. And I was adamant to all the family, we are not getting a dog. We are not getting a dog at all. And he pops his little cute face around the corner, and I fell in love instantly. So when he passed away, I wanted to keep something in memory of him. And all the way through his life, he was a kind of dog that would destroy his toys. The amount of tennis balls and kind of like chew toys he went through, because he just would rip them to shreds. But there was one thing he never bit, he never destroyed. It was a pig, a little kind of like a squeaky toy pig, but he looked after that pig as if it was his own pup. He absolutely adored that pig. It went everywhere with him. So I've kept that pig. So
lush.
Yeah, it's amazing. I've actually got it here, sat beside me. It's there, a little squeaky pig. Yeah, he absolutely loved it. He would spend hours just cleaning it and licking it. So yeah, those are mine. These bad boys here, these are title belts, because I'm a wrestling nerd, and my squeaky pig.
Oh, that's nice, man. That's lush.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, that's nice. See, mine's more down the sort of teddy bear route, I guess, as well. My title belt is one that I'm, one of my prized possessions. So I wanted that replica for so long.
Yeah.
And then the wife got it me for for my 40th, which was amazing because I never thought that I'd be able to get one because it was expensive, and so that was incredible. I've also here got, I'll show you, from the last football match I was ever involved in, when I was running a club with the missus. It's I'm going to hold it up to the camera for you to see my County Cup winners medal there.
Oh,
I
that's awesome.
The light on that a bit better maybe, but yeah, the County Cup winners medal there. 2-1 down, Mags, in the 98th minute. 98th minute. 8 minutes of stoppage time. And my one centre half toe punted the ball wildly, and it hit my other centre half on the leg and bounced in to equalise, and we won on penalties.
That's amazing. I love it.
So 98th minute. So yeah, it was great. It was great. And that was the last game I was ever involved in. I'd already decided we'd been trying to win the County Cup for 10 years, and it never happened. We got to the cup final, and I was already decided I was knocking it on the head because our Livs was playing football for the city. Her games were the same time as our games now. This was going to be my last season. I hadn't told any of the players or anything like that yet. I told them presentation night. But yeah, so winning that and the way we won it as well was just, and my mum and dad were there as well. That was fantastic. And I got a lovely picture of me holding the County Cup, looking at all the names engraved on the bottom, with my mum and dad looking through the teams, going back to like the 60s and the 50s and all that. Oh yeah, it was a great day. So that medal means a huge amount to me. And cool. This was my teddy bear from Sharon in the chat there saying, have I got Casey Jones up there? Yes, I have, Shah. He's coming out now. He's not as good nick as Betsy or Ted or some of the other bears we've seen, but then he is 40 years of age, so he's a bit in a mess.
Oh,
but that's Casey Jones, who was the train driver. You can see like he's got holes in, and all his stuffing has fallen out, and he smells a bit funky, I'm not gonna lie. And if you can make that out as well, that's his label, that bit just there, because I used to suck my
bit
thumb.
that's left.
Yeah, I used to suck my thumb and play with the label when I was little. So I used to wear the labels out, and my mum used to have to cut them off, cut labels out of people's trousers or shirts or whatever, and stitch them on. He has got that many holes in him. He's actually got a patch of denim on his arse because his stuffing get falling out of his arse. But yeah, he's a bit worse for wear. But that's my Casey Jones. Yeah.
Sharon not showing the same amount of appreciation for poor Casey there. She's saying he makes me feel sick.
Yeah, she's not a fan.
Also, you should have taken up the new Casey Jones with you as well.
Oh, Sharon in the chat, you might have to remind me when it was. It was probably like 5 years ago now, maybe. My mum and got me a new Casey Jones, but like the same one. So it was a vintage one from back in the 80s, but it was still in its box.
Someone had looked after it.
Yeah, so yeah, it hadn't even been opened or anything like that. So also, it was quite cool because I got the new one. It stayed in its box. It's downstairs on the side light. But that was my Casey Jones when I was little, and I used to, that was my bear that went everywhere with me.
So essentially, tormenting the original Casey Jones. Like,
yeah,
look at what you could have. Look at what you used to look like.
It's like
look at your mess.
It's like a before and after picture of like a meth addict. Casey Jones downstairs is like when he was like working and had his family, and this is Casey Jones when he discovered meth. So don't do drugs, kids.
Well, Chris in the chat saying you need to get Casey Jones on that TV show that fixes old shit for you.
He's beyond fixing, mate. The amount of times he's been sewn up when I was little and stitched up so his stuff, stuffing wouldn't fall out, but he's just some of his fabric now. If you touch it, it just turns to dust.
And you're saying George.
Right, yeah. When she said that, I had to really rock my brains, but it's the next comment.
Grampy's bearded dragon.
Yeah, my dad had a bearded dragon for years. He loved that dragon. That was he loved it so much. Yeah, bloody big thing, and used to feed it crickets and locusts and all this sort of stuff. Yeah, wow. Yeah, that was a funny thing. Yeah, but there we go, mate. That sort of concludes our non-wrestling topic this week, I guess.
Certainly does, and yeah, thanks for everyone for your amazing memorabilia and your stories behind it. Yeah, it's that was cool. I really enjoyed that topic.
Yeah, it was good. It was good. I appreciate everyone sharing, sort of happy stories, sentimental stories. anything at all, really. It's fantastic. Again, at @chain_wrestling on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and I suppose that TikTok thingy. If people want to get involved in the future.
I still don't follow the Chain Wrestling TikTok yet.
Have you got a TikTok, have you?
I have a TikTok. I got it specifically to follow our wrestling Twitter friends, and yet I've never posted a video. I don't even go on the app, but there we go.
See, whenever I go on the app, it's just loads of young girls dancing, which, don't get me wrong, ain't the worst thing in the world, but it's like...
It's just when you get caught from me watching it. Yeah, honestly, this is to do with the show.
This is for research purposes for the show, Oh, Magsy, I suppose, seeing as we are well over an hour into this evening's show, should we talk a little wrestling, mate?
Nah.
No, all right, we'll go. Okay, I'm off now to...
Let's get ready to rumble!
Yeah, so our... Sorry, I completely opened the wrong window there.
Brilliant.
There we go. I'm going to go back to paper and pen, like you said, Max. I think I'm going to have to. Magsy won at the poll again. He has now won 26 polls since we started doing chain wrestling, to my feeble and loitering in the distance 21 with one draw.
I mean, 19 of yours have been Lex Luger picks, so
no,
you have helped me win.
I think I've only had 2 Luger picks, I think.
What, that have won or put?
No, they didn't freaking win. Oh, but yeah, that's it. So, and to be honest, we said at the end of last week's show, didn't we? Either of these matches winning would have been great because both of them featured Bret Hart, so that's always a good start. And the losing one will definitely come up again in the future because it's too good of a match to not talk about. Yeah, exactly, mate. Exactly. The winning match was Bret Hart versus Owen Hart from SummerSlam '94.
The highest rated Owen Hart match, according to Uncle Shagger Dave Meltzer. And a lot of the times you can pick holes in his arguments, but yeah, this was a bloody good match.
See, I might upset a few people this week, Mags. It was good, don't get me wrong, but I think this gets looked back on very, very favorably. It's good, but I don't think it's as good as, I mean, Meltzer gives it 5 stars. Is it a 5-star match?
Yeah.
You reckon?
It was brilliant. I loved it. I love going back and watching it. It was amazing.
See, again, this thing, I don't want to be seen. I enjoyed it. I really did enjoy it. But is it on that same level as, I don't know, Steamboat Flair, Okada, Omega? Is it as good as those?
No, right. No, there's obviously a handful, and I mean a literal handful of matches that are the elite of the elite. But then underneath there is a hell of a lot of absolutely outstanding matches, and this is one of the very best of those outstanding matches for me, anyway.
Okay. See, I think their WrestleMania 10 match is better.
That you can argue that case, and you wouldn't be wrong in saying that. But I can make arguments for either.
Okay, fair enough. Yeah, basically to sort of set the scene, we have in 1994. It was really sort of breakout year for Owen Hart, wasn't it? He was the Blue Blazer for a while. He was just Owen Hart in some silly baggy trousers. The New Foundation. Yeah. He was with Jim and High Energy as well with Coco Beware. That tag team.
Totally underrated tag teams.
Yeah, but it was very early 90s, wasn't it? The bright colors, the baggy pants, is sort of Saved by the Bell intro-esque, wasn't it? The clothing and so on.
He was very much the uber babyface as well. The kind of wave to the fans, half-flying babyface, usually partnered with a hoss for that kind of like contrasting wrestling styles. but it was when he became the King of Hearts that he really broke out of that, I think. And I suppose it's hard when you are essentially wrestling in the shadow of Bret Hart, who is arguably one of the best wrestlers that have ever entered the ring. And when you look at Owen's body of work, there's a case to argue that he was maybe the better technical wrestler, the more rounded technical wrestler. And I will argue till my final breath that had he not passed away when he did, we were looking at a future world champion there, someone who you could definitely pin as the top guy in your company. But yeah, I really enjoyed Owen as a face, but I loved him as a heel. He was such a brilliant kind of shithead heel.
Yeah, totally. In January of this year, he was tagging with Bret to try and win the tag titles with his brother. When they didn't, he basically turned on Bret, which led to their WrestleMania 10 match, which Owen won. Bret then went on to win the championship later on that night. And then this sets up the title match in the Steel Cage here. I suppose Owen can argue, I beat the champion the night he became champion. Why can't I have a title match? And there you go. It makes perfect, to me, it's logical booking, Max. It makes perfect sense.
Yeah, and that was it. The booking was it wasn't convoluted. There was no kind of nothing added to it that didn't make sense. This was essentially brotherly jealousy, fraternal kind of essentially jealousy. Owen was very jealous that Bret was the star that he would come in, and it's the long-term booking that we just don't see enough of for me. No. This started all the way back in Survivor Series of 1993, where we see like the hints of Owen and Bret falling out and then making back up, and we see that all kind of like Christmas affair where they were all best friends again, but you knew that there was still a little bit of animosity there, which leads to what happened at WrestleMania, and then leads to this match.
Yeah, totally. The Hart family are all at ringside, aren't they? You have Stu,
pretty much every Hart that there's ever been.
Yeah, effectively, one half of the arena is related to Bret and Owen some way or another, it seems. And the Bulldog is there as well, with a big mop of hair that's not braided and looking crazy, and
wearing glasses. The specky 4 hours,
and wearing a waistcoat. With nothing else, just a waistcoat, no shirt, no nothing, just a waistcoat. Because why the hell not?
That's what wrestlers did.
Yeah. Looking tanned as well, wasn't he? Very brown for someone from the UK.
And then with that horrific northern accent, the accent did not suit his body at all. He looked like he should have a flat cap and a whippet and a ferret down his trousers, all that kind of jazz. But instead, he looked like he was carved out of granite, and then had the accent of Eric Morecambe.
Yeah, exactly. He was asked as well, the Bulldog, wasn't he? Because Vince McMahon and Jerry Lawler are that's sort of killing time, I guess, whilst the cage is being assembled behind them. Yeah,
and it's not actually often you see Vince doing this kind of stuff as well. He's normally, especially in this area, he's normally either doing the commentary or he's in the ring. You don't see him like doing this almost Todd Pettengill kind of role. Yeah, so that was fresh. They speak with Helen and Stu first, and you can tell Stu had been kind of like bored of these being dragged out to these WWE events or WWF events, because he had no emotion either way. Couldn't give a shit who won. Helen was a little bit more animated, but Stu was like, yeah, you dragged me out here again, Vince. You jackass.
I don't really know where I am. That's how he sounded, wasn't it?
Somebody needs to change my adult diaper. I've done a number 2.
Oh, there's Neidhart, the big rhino. The big rhino Neidhart.
Oh, Vince, by the way, have you got a job for Rhino?
When the Bulldog was asked, would he like to be in there with Bret tonight, he simply responded, Not really.
Yeah, nah, my time were a couple of years ago. I
Yeah.
enjoyed that, but this now where it's SummerSlam 1993, and it's Owens. I just hope they have a right good match between them, and I hope it puts all this family beef behind them.
Yeah.
It doesn't.
Shut up, Davey.
Let Rhino speak. Vince, go to Rhino.
Go speak to Neidhart. So have we mocked Bret's dead father enough, do you think? Should we move on?
We're very mean this episode.
We
aren't
are. We're mocking dead people. Mary, she's dead. We're mocking her.
Oh, and that actually reminds me of something we spoke about literally 2 minutes before we started recording.
Oh, yeah. And we were going to talk about that and we forgot.
Yeah, we did. That just shows how much of an impact this person had on the wrestling world. But yeah, unfortunately, for wrestling and for wrestling memes, I suppose, we had the passing of one of the more famous wrestling family members, I suppose, former WCW tag team champion and the star of the forklift on a pole match, I suppose. Judy Bagwell unfortunately passed away today. It's, for all the mockery the wrestling world has given, not particularly her, but the match type in general. Yeah, it's sad. And hopefully she's in a better place now. And yeah, my thoughts go out to Buff and the rest of his family and loved ones.
Yeah, so she was mid-70s, wasn't she? She was struggling with dementia at the end, I think, wasn't she? So I think Judy Bagwell's very much a symbol, I suppose, of how batshit crazy WCW got at the end. When
it was ludicrous.
She was involved and had a tag team title reign with Rick Steiner. It's just what the hell, but it's sad. It's a shame. It always is whenever anyone passes away, I suppose. But absolutely. There we go. Right. Bret looks amazing here, doesn't he?
Yeah, that
when he comes out, that the winged eagle, the jacket, that everything just looks so cool, man. I wanted to be Bret Hart so much when I was a kid.
Yeah, and we've spoke about this on that 90s wrestling podcast quite a few times, because we're in that period where Bret is essentially carrying the company when it comes to pay-per-views. Every single pay-per-view, he's the man. I at the time was never a massive Bret fan. I got that he was a great wrestler and I enjoyed watching, but he was never somebody who I would really root for. And it's only kind of going back and watching it in a critical way for podcasts and stuff like this that I realized just how damn good he was in the ring, just how well he connected with the fans. Yeah, the guy could. I mean, it's an overused kind of trope, but he could wrestle a broom to a 5-star match. He was that damn good.
Yeah, he was absolutely fantastic, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was.
I always thought Bret was brilliant. When I was a kid, I just thought the guy was awesome. Then Shawn Michaels came along as well, and I ended up being more of a Shawn guy than a Bret guy. Just the way, even when Shawn was the bad guy, when he wrestled Bret at Survivor Series in '92, that's when I remember thinking, Shawn could win both belts here, rather than thinking Bret's going to beat him or anything like that when I was like 10 or 11 or however old I was when that happened, But yeah, Bret was always one of my faves. Just absolutely so talented. Just wish he could have been a little bit better on the mic, just a little bit. Not much, just a little.
I mean, the best I remember of Bret on the mic is when he's kind of face to face with someone. His stuff with Roddy Piper is absolutely brilliant work. Yeah. So I mean, I think he's underrated or underappreciated on the mic. He didn't have the greatest kind of charisma. I don't think he was very good at talking off the cuff. But you could feel his passion. You could feel that he loved the wrestling business. So I kind of give him a pass for that.
Yeah, no, fair enough, mate. Fair enough. The match starts quite brutally, doesn't it? Like everything seems really, I suppose the term's stiff, isn't it? He was there was an atomic drop, some clotheslines, and other stuff going on as well. Some punches thrown. Bret and Owen both getting sent into the turnbuckles and taking bumps there, all within the first couple of minutes, and it all looks so real, doesn't it? It looks so realistic. I think this is like probably the first time I really sort of looked at Owen Hart and thought, okay, he can make things look as real as his brother. Because Bret, to me, everything looks legit when you see him work, you know?
And I think what Owen adds to that as well, and that's probably why I would put him a little bit higher than Bret in terms of an all-round wrestler, was he could sell that douchebagness. If you, I mean, it's hard to explain, but he played such a good heel that you genuinely believe that he hated Bret with all his being. That he wanted to beat Bret more than anything in the world because he'd lived under his shadow, and he was always kind of overlooked as Bret's baby brother rather than Owen, the King of Hearts and the better wrestler. So I think whilst they're on par in terms of technical skill, I think that edges it for Owen with me, that he could tell the story as a face, but also tell it as a really good heel.
Yeah, no, I get you. So do you want to run through some of the moments in the match there, Magsy? Then, since you probably look at it more favourably than I guess.
Yeah, I mean, you get some of the classics like the whipping into the turnbuckle. One spot that I thought was really cool and something that you don't see done in cage matches that much nowadays is when they were both struggling and fighting each other to climb out of the cage. There was a point where they were pulling each other back and then leaping over each other to try and get the cage in.
That was amazing. That was so good.
I mean, they do it a couple of times. They do it closer to the end, but it still feels fresh because they change it up a little bit. They get further and further to touching the ground, and there's points where Bret's almost hanging out of the ring, and he's just being pulled in at the last minute. And that's one thing in this match that I thought was really well done. I think a lot of times in a cage match, it's almost hard to time things perfectly. You'll tend to see a wrestler climbing ever so slowly because they know they have to wait for the other wrestler to be ready. There wasn't any points I really felt that was being done here. There was quite a few times where Bret or Owen both got to the top of the cage, and then you'd see the other one spring into life and kind of drag him at the last minute, either by the hair or there's a time where Owen drags Bret back by the elbow pad, which I thought was really clever, kind of using anything he can to drag him back in.
A real sort of desperation to that moment as well, wasn't there? Like a real sort of, he sort of literally grabbing at anything, as you said.
Yeah, pretty much. And I think this may be one of the better cage matches that I've ever watched. It's so well done. And like I said, it always has felt hard to me to get a cage match to flow well without it looking forced or contrived. And I think these two did such a good job at that. And there's still some brutal stuff as well. There's the part where Bret and Owen get basically crotched on the ropes. That looked absolutely horrific. The
one with Owen where Bret's sort of near the top, isn't he? And he gets thrown off, and it looks like Owen could escape then. But there's literally like half a second where you think he's going to get out here, but then he falls and crotches himself on the top rope. That looks like he proper hurt himself, but also the timing of that and how well it was done, because it'd have been very easy for that to look like crap, wouldn't it? If Bret was thrown down, Owen's there, I could escape. Oh no, I've slipped. It'd be very easy for that to look like absolute shit. But
and
Owen was brilliant.
There's even a spot where they're both kind of fighting to get out, and they both end up essentially falling from the cage and slamming into the middle of the ring. Oh, it's just so well done. The selling from Bret Hart. There's a point where he's really had his kind of his midsection worked on, and he does the superplex from the top of the cage. Yeah, and then you see him trying to sit up, and he's struggling as he's wincing in pain. Such great selling, so damn good. I love the hell out of this match, and it actually was it went for like half an hour. But you would have thought this was 10-15 minutes. For me personally, I would have thought it was that long. I was so engrossed in it. And some of the matches we've watched, especially over the last few months, have been kind of, yeah, come on, hurry it up, finish it now. I'm getting a little bit distracted. I sat and I just watched every second of this. So essentially slack-jawed because it's so damn good. Getting towards the end, we see Owen playing the sharpshooter. And I'm not a huge fan of hearing the wrestlers talking whilst there's a match, but Owen saying, I'm going to break his leg, I'm going to break his leg, that dragged me in. That was such a good
and that
point.
was really fits in with the Owen character as well, doesn't it? The way he would shout and rant and stuff. Yeah, brilliant stuff.
Yeah, and then you get that reversal, and Bret reversing out of the sharpshooter into the sharpshooter. What a brilliant spot. I absolutely loved that. He was so damn good at doing that spot. So good.
Yeah, it's absolutely fantastic. There's a real nasty looking pile driver in there as well, isn't there, at one stage?
Very reminiscent of the Austin one. I mean, I know the Austin one comes later on, but you could see Bret's head in between the legs. And yeah, I'm surprised that didn't at least give him a stinger. Yeah,
that looks so brutal. I think the finish is really, really well done as well. We'll get to my reasons for maybe not loving this quite as much as yourself in a moment, Mags. One of them being the escape the cage to win aspect of it. That's a big hindrance I have with these sort of matches. But the finish in this, I think, was done so well because they're both on the outside, aren't they? They both make it to the outside and they're fighting on the outside of the cage quite high up. Owen kind of goes to fall, but his leg is caught. And then Bret, he very theatrically leaps down off the side of the cage and wins the match. And I thought even that was just so brilliantly timed. And again, it could have so easily looked like crap. It could have so easily looked, well, it could have looked pro wrestling, couldn't it? It could have looked staged. Yeah. But it looked legit. The way that even how Owen got his leg trapped, you could really genuinely think that was a mistake, and he got his leg trapped in the heat of the moment. He didn't make it look obvious that he was hooking his leg, so he couldn't fall off the cage, and he ended up hanging from the cage. It was so well done, and all the way through the match, you could see how they were getting closer and closer to getting over the top rope, and I think over the top of the cage. I think it's such a well-told story how we build and build and build. Even when they were trying to like scramble to go through the gate, each time they were getting closer and closer to escaping. I thought that this was such a well-flowed match. I really, really enjoyed it. Yeah, no, it was very good. It was very good indeed. After that, we get a lot of nonsense with Neidhart, and Neidhart gets in the cage, shuts the cage door, locks it up. He and Owen beating Bret up. The other Hart brothers and the Bulldog are trying to get in the cage. The Bulldog tries 3 or 4 times, can't quite manage it. Then takes his little waistcoat off, and he can manage it. So I'm guessing the weight of that waistcoat meant he couldn't climb quick enough, potentially, I'm thinking, if there's any science behind that. Bruce Hart. I can't go put my finger on it, but there's something quite unlikable about that fella.
Yeah, he looks like Owen Hart if he didn't make it, and he looked very kind of jealous about that. I mean, a lot of the kind of like the pre-build and cutting back to the Hart family during the match was focused on Bruce and him arguing with Neidhart. Yeah, I don't know enough about him and his career to pass judgment, but he always felt like he tried to make any kind of Hart family section about himself.
Yeah, I totally agree. Eventually, though, the Bulldog and the Hart brothers make the save. Owen goes on a little rant afterwards, doesn't he, backstage, saying he's going off now to celebrate his victory, which is just fantastic because he hasn't won. He's just being a shithead.
and Neidhart says the same thing about 4 or 5 times about if Bret Hart, if you stick your nose in my business, that's what you're going to get. Just like you just got it today. That's what happens when you stick your nose in my business. You're going to get beat up. So don't stick your nose in my business, or else you'll get beat up. But just in that excitable Neidhart style where he looks like he's forcing a heart attack on himself.
Yeah. Very neatly trimmed beard, though, hasn't he? He's worked hard on that.
He has, yeah.
Yeah, so deserves respect there, I guess. I suppose we better get to our ratings then, Magsy. Out of 10, this will be quite interesting, I think. What do you want to give it, my friend?
Yeah, so I feel that we're going to be quite differing on these scores because
I don't think we're going to be too far away from each other, but
okay. So I thought this was a brilliant match. I think it may be one of the best cage matches that we've ever seen. There's a case to be said it's the best match between the two Hart brothers. I loved everything about it. The story going into the match, the story that was happening during the match. The wrestling was pretty much flawless. I can't really think of any point where I thought, yep, that's a botch or that's gone wrong or they've had to change something up on the fly. It flowed so well. It was half an hour of glory for me. But I do concede your point that it's not up there with the Omega versus Okada 4s or the Steamboat versus Savage at WrestleMania 3. But it's close. So I am more than happy to say that this gets a 9.
Okay, so yeah, we're not too far off. I think that the wrestling itself was great. I've got issues with cage matches where the stipulation is to escape the cage, and that is how you win, and that is that. Because normally I find that the suspense, I guess, the near fall drama is took away. You don't get the 2.9 shoulder up or anything like that. So that kind of, to me, is normally a hindrance because somebody climbing the cage or going for the door, I think it's more difficult to build up that kind of suspense or level of drama to a near finish.
Mm-hmm.
If anyone has come close to getting it right, though, I think it's these two.
Okay.
This is, I think, with the stipulation of just escape the cage to win, this is the best cage match I've seen that has that stipulation. Other cage matches, you have a pinfall stipulation in there as well. I would probably favor those because of the opportunity to win the match by pinfall.
I mean, that's fair. I think if it's a cage match, the whole point should be you escaping the cage. Otherwise, why not just have a standard pinfall match?
Well,
but I do concede your point that it adds that extra way of winning the match.
I mean, to me, again, this goes back to the old Jim Crockett promotion, NWA days and so on. Cages were used primarily to keep the horsemen out of Ric Flair's matches. Mm-hmm. So that's how I suppose maybe my mentality is, or my mindset is, maybe. I don't know.
That's referring to your old wrestling fandom that nobody loves.
Nobody loves. You. No, I'm just sat there all on my own on a little NWA hill of my Todd. However, as good as this was, I try and be consistent with my markings and so on. And I look at Lesnar versus Angle Iron Man match. I gave that 8.5. Mm-hmm. Punk versus Daniel Bryan, gave it a 9 at Over the Limit 2012. I would rather watch those two matches again than this.
Okay.
However, this is still very good. So I'm going to go one lower than you, Maxie, and I think an 8. Just based on previous ratings and so on. The cage match stipulation ain't my favorite, the way this is done. But this is the best I've seen it done. There's maybe a contradiction in how I'm wording things there, potentially. But
it absolutely makes sense.
So, yeah, that's kind of it, I guess, mate. That's that. An 8 from me and a 9 from you.
Well, the way you kind of led into your feelings on this match, I'm surprised it was an 8. I thought you was looking at maybe 6.5, 7 level, but yeah, I get the sense behind an 8, especially with your kind of your dislike for the way this cage match was laid out. I understand that, but for me, I thought the match was absolutely superb.
Yeah, I suppose I don't like the baby face having to escape either. It kind of feels like he's running away. Maybe I don't know. Maybe I'm just grasping at straws there. But yeah.
Dan in the chat, Sir, feel free to be arbitrary and give every Bret match a 10. And Dan gives Bret matches a 10 every single time we do an episode of That 90s Wrestling Podcast. So Bret gets enough 10s for Again, one guy.
It's no slight on Bret or Owen. I think what they've done considering the match type they're in,
The polished the
fantastic.
turd.
Yeah, they've done the best they can with the stipulation they've been handed.
Yeah.
Fantastic. It's the stipulation and the way the match was set up is more the issue for me. It's a personal issue. That's all it comes down to. It's just my own preference. You know, as opposed to what the guys did. What the guys did was fantastic.
Yeah, I agree.
So, yeah, so there we go, Mr. Mags. Where do you want to go next week?
Okay, so I have a feeling you may win this next week's poll because I'm going to go with a wrestler that maybe isn't everybody's favorite.
Is it Lex Luger?
It's that it will be a cold day in hell when I pick a Lex Luger match. No, it's definitely linked to this match in more ways than one actually. So it's linked via the pay-per-view SummerSlam. This one a few years before 1994, but it's also linked by the Hart brothers. And he actually was involved in this match as well. So Jim the Anvil now, the Hart is essentially the link. Obviously, we know he was a multiple-time champion with Bret and also teamed with Owen. Now, funnily enough, he doesn't have that many really high-rated matches. Don't know why, especially in terms of singles. He doesn't have a lot, but he's got enough there to pick at to maybe have a good match to see what he can do in the ring. So I've gone for SummerSlam 1990.
Okay.
It was the Hart Foundation, Bret and Jim the Anvil Neidhart taking on Demolition for the tag team titles, the best 2 out of 3 falls. So yeah, that's the match I'm going for.
Oh, that's proper great WWF tag team wrestling as well, isn't it?
And it also includes one of the greatest wrestlers ever to grace the business in Barry Darsow. So
wow.
It's win-win-win.
There we go. Look, there we go. It's brilliant. It's a really, really good match. I always really enjoy it. And that era of WWF as well, with the Rougeaus, the Rockers, the Hart Foundation, Demolition, Legion of Doom were coming in around that time as well, weren't they? Mm-hmm. Absolutely stacked tag division, and I love tag wrestling. So, oh, what a shite, mate! What a shite. That's really good.
I was actually contemplating between that match and another match, the match against the Rockers where they lost the title, but then the rope snapped, so the title.
Okay.
The title didn't swap over, but we got the Rockers as champions for a couple of days, something like that, where Bret was essentially dropping the title because he was promised a single run, and then he was told, no, we're keeping the titles on you and Jim, and there was a bit of animosity there. But no, I thought I'd go get a bit of Barry Darsow loving and watch a Demolition versus Hart Foundation match if I win.
No, that's great stuff, mate. That's awesome. I love that match. It's great. I'm gonna go somewhere more in the future as opposed to the past.
So we're going to 2023.
I mean the future from 94, not the
Hangman Page defends the AW title against Daniel Bryan.
Yeah, okay, let's do that. Oh, anything time travel, mate. You know that floats my boat.
Oh boy.
Yeah, so mine's really, really straightforward, to be honest, and it stems from a conversation that I had on Twitter the other day, and it's been on the poll before and it lost, but I think now is a great time to have a look
Lex
at it.
Luger saved the world.
Oh, good old Luger. No, it's Bret Hart is the link. It's that straightforward. I would love to go to Survivor Series 97 and look at the Montreal Screwjob.
Ooh.
And I think there is, and the thing is with Montreal, the two things. One, it's actually 24 years tomorrow that the Montreal Screwjob took place. So I think that's quite a nice little tie in there. And two, there's so much to cover. There's so much. The match itself, I think, gets overlooked. The match itself is a really, really good match before the Screwjob between Bret and Shawn. Mm-hmm. But the build up to the match, what went on, why they couldn't decide upon a finish, and all that, I think it could be a really fascinating discussion with yourself, Magsy, and our friends in the chat, and so on. A really interesting insight into the workings of the business, and so on. yeah, that's kind of where I want to go, to Montreal Screwjob 1997.
That's a great pick, and you really hit the nail on the head, saying that the match has been overlooked, and I think that's something that we can do differently on this show, because we do spend time focusing on the match. A lot of what spoken about with the Montreal Screwjob is essentially the before and the finish and the aftermath. Nobody focuses on what happened in the ring, so we'll definitely be able to have a look at that, as well as kind of intermingling the stuff before and after. So that would be a great pick. And I hope you win this week.
Oh, cheers, mate. I also think that in the past, well, when it was on a poll in the past, there was a comment of that somebody said they didn't vote for it because it's been done to death. Which I can appreciate.
Never by us.
So yeah, that's it. So many people have covered this, talked about this, and so on, but it hasn't been done the chain wrestling way, and we're very unique with what we do.
CW family.
That's right. So there you go. Those are your poll options for next week. Do we have the Hart Foundation versus Demolition, best 2 out of 3 falls for the WWF Tag Team title at SummerSlam 1990? Or do we go to Montreal 1997, Bret Hart versus Shawn Michaels for the WWF Championship, and all that screw job nonsense? You can vote in the poll when it comes up later in the week after the audio podcast version is released on Wednesday at @chain_wrestling on Twitter for that. Yeah, Magsy, I suppose that sort of ties us up this week, doesn't it? You're going to get yourself ready for the excellent volley with Matt and Chris following live on Radio Techers after us, looking back at all the Premier League action from this weekend. Insightful punditry and knowledgeable people talking about a wonderful game. So make sure you check that out. Mags, anything more to add, mate, before we go?
No, I just again, and we say it week in, week out, but you guys are absolutely amazing in the chat, and everyone who gets involved with the poll and the non-wrestling topic. This show would not go 1 hour and 50 minutes if it wasn't for you guys. You're absolutely amazing, and we always will appreciate all the help and the love that we get from you guys. But saying that, I do have to prepare. I've got to go and make myself some fresh coffee. So you can follow me down here at Lord Mags or at Podfather Mags. I'm contemplating changing that handle to include my heraldry, but we will see. You can find me all over the Radio Techers network with plenty of content covering wrestling, football, MMA, and you'll also find me over on Visionaries Global Media and Chairshot. So come and check out some of my content. Come and have a chat with me on Twitter. Give me a follow. Yeah, it's all good.
Yeah, great stuff. You can follow me at SJP Words on Twitter. But most importantly, you can follow the show at @chain_wrestling on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and that TikTok thingamy. I think that is everything for now. So, Magsy, I'm going to let you shoot off and get ready for the volley, whilst I'm going to go off and try and find a really good Lex Luger match. I'll see you all next week.
Not with that match, you won't. Thanks a lot, guys.
Bye-bye.
With a tear in my eye, this is the greatest